2015 Ford F150 EcoBoost 4-wheel drive actuator making noise. This one on cold days, sometimes on cold startups, you'll start driving and it'll sound like the front hubs are not locking in. I'm going to show you a very common problem on this, and it's relatively cheap fix. I'll show you how to test everything from right here. So this system is quite simple as far as its functionality. You'll have a solenoid valve, a vacuum hose, a check valve, a reservoir, vacuum reservoir, and then this line goes down to your four-wheel drive front hub actuators. When the ignition's off, this valve will open. It will bleed the pressure or the vacuum off of the actuators, and it'll actually engage the four-wheel drive when the vehicle is off. When you turn the key back on, this will energize. When you start the vehicle, it'll also pull more vacuum onto this reservoir. However, the way this solenoid valve works is when you turn the key off, this top one will vent to atmosphere. This lower one will seal. And as long as this reservoir doesn't leak and there's no holes or leaks in this line and this check valve is working, this reservoir will maintain vacuum. I'll show you how to test this. If the check valve is bad, it'll lose vacuum as the vehicle sits. If this isn't sealing quite right, it'll also lose vacuum as the vehicle sits. What I'll normally do is I'll disconnect the line going down to the actuators, okay? And that would be this top hose. Then I'll grab my vacuum pump. All right, so now I'm just hooked up to the vacuum actuators. I'm gonna test everything from this point. We're gonna pull a vacuum on it. Here's 20 inches, we'll let it sit here for a little bit. And as long as that maintains vacuum, we know both actuators are working. And another thing we could do at this point, while it's under vacuum, is we'll come down here, we'll spin the hub, and you notice the axle is not spinning. We'll come over to the other side, same thing, axle is not spinning, still maintaining 20 inches of vacuum. We'll release that. Now we'll come down here. They should be engaged. There you go. I can't turn it no more because it's trying to spin the axle. Come over here. Everything's engaged. Can't spin it. Perfect. So we know that part is good. Remove our test equipment. And then I'm going to hook a T between here and here. All right. Then we're going to hook a vacuum gauge up to there. I'm going to take and I'm going to start the vehicle. I'm going to key on. You see the vacuum? This is in two-wheel drive. Selector switch is in two-wheel drive. Everything's released, everything is good. Now we're going to take and turn off the vehicle, and that should maintain. And drop off. That actuator just released and vented to atmosphere, and this should be holding vacuum within this reservoir. Now we're going to time it for a little bit. We were at 20 inches of vacuum. Before we shut it off, we'll let it sit for 5 minutes and we'll come right back. All right, 5 minutes has passed. So we're going to zoom in on that gauge, and all we're going to do is turn the key on without starting the vehicle. All right, you see the vacuum, we lost vacuum, and it's at like 7 inches. These hubs need around 10 inches, maybe 7 to 10 to actuate properly. So what that's telling us is that it's sealing for the most part, but this should have held for more than 5 minutes. What I'm going to do is simply replace this check valve, and we're going to see how long it holds. Alrighty, we got our new Ford OEM part installed. I still got the vacuum hose hooked up the same way with the T. We're going to watch this vacuum gauge as I start the vehicle. We're going to let it gain vacuum. Now we're going to do the same test. I'm going to shut it off. It's going to bleed the atmosphere. And now we're going to wait and see if this check valve allows this vacuum to retain. All right, guys, we're back. It's about 5 minutes later. Vehicle is not running. It's been sitting here. So now we're going to take and turn the key back on. As you can see, we're still down around 20 inches of vacuum. In other words, everything is holding within this unit now. Solenoid valve is not leaking down, otherwise you'd be losing vacuum. The vehicle is not running. Hubs are still free without the vehicle running. And what that also tells me is there's no leaks, so even if your vehicle has less vacuum under a load, it's still going to stay out of engagement. The hubs are still going to be unlocked for a long time. Because here we are after all this talking, vehicle not running, still maintain the vacuum. Do it one more time. Key off. You see a timeout. Key back on. And we still, even after that bleed off cycle, still have enough vacuum to actuate the actuators. All right, guys. Well, I hope that helps. If you ever have this problem, we'll remove that T, put everything back to normal, and this vehicle should be good to go. We're doing some rear brakes on it today, along with the inner shoes, because they came delaminated from the backing plate. Have a good one.